political issues going on in Jamaica, and for my safety. And as a female growing up, my grandmother got very concerned about us probably getting pregnant early. And so my dad had left Jamaica in 1969 when I was only a year old, and he went to Canada. And 1977, migrated to Canada, and spent 21 years in Canada. It was a culture shock, to say the least. Even the space wise was different. And so I had to get used to that. But eventually, of course, as you know, as young kids, we are very adaptable. So I adapted to my new country of Canada. And I had my daughter there. I have a 37-year-old daughter now, and an 8-year-old grandson. So I spent 21 years in Canada. My father decided he was going to come down here to the States. And he wanted eventually to retire. And he was a welder. He was a union man. So he was a boiler maker and a fitter and a pipe fitter. And when he came to the US, he asked, at the time I was already an adult. So he asked if we were interested in coming down to live in the States. So we said we don't see any problem with it. So he started the process, and it took 7 years. This was in 1991 for us to get our green card, and eventually got the green card. And in 1996 in the state of Georgia, and they had the Olympics. And that's actually, I had other things that happened to me that involved Georgia even before I got to Georgia. But the fact that the Olympic happened here, and it just the folks, Andrew Young and some of the Black leaders down here, they made this place very attractive. So that's how Georgia got on my radar. And so we ended up deciding to come down here to live. When the green card process was over, this was 1998. The Olympics happened in 1996. They give us 6 months to get out of Canada and move down here. So we didn't have much time. So I had to get prepared really quickly. We came down here and rented a condominium. And 2 years passed. I ended up buying my own house. And then I moved to Gwinnett County. And I was living, I'm an engineer by profession. I'm a chemical engineer by profession. So I wasn't thinking about much of politics. But the 2000 election happened. And I was very concerned about the fact that it was initially called for Al Gore and then rescinded in Florida. And that concerned me, because I know what numbers are, because I'm an engineer. So 1 and 1 still equals 2. And if whoever has the most numbers, and of course there's an electoral college process here in the States as well. And so I was a little bit concerned about it. So I actually got on a bus and went down to Florida protesting George W. Bush's inauguration. I was not yet a citizen. But I kind of got more activated with that, because I don't like injustice, and I don't like things that don't make sense. And then in 2004, this young man comes on the stage. His name was Barack Obama. And he said, "This is not a blue state or a red state. This is the United States of America." And after his speech, and he brought up his wife and 2 daughters, I said, if he ever ran for president, I would be there on day 1. And that's what I did. On day 1, when he announced and he opened an office in Georgia, I was driving I live in Gwinnett County, and I was driving down to Fulton County to canvass and make phone calls. I'm more of a canvasser. I'm not really a phone person. But at the time, a lot of African Americans didn't believe that a Black man would become president. But I was already comfortable with with Black people leading, because I grew up for 9 years in Jamaica, and people on my dollar bill were Black. So I'm comfortable with leadership being Black. And so that was kind of interesting for me. And obviously, eventually, people started seeing things the way I saw it. And Senator Barack Obama became President Barack Obama in 2008 and was inaugurated in 2009. I couldn't stop. I was doing so much. I traveled so much kind of around the country, advocating for him. And in 2012, in his re-election, I was the national director for voter outreach for Black Women for Obama. And so I stayed engaged. I even opened up a nonprofit organization called CANI, Community Action Network Initiatives. as a single organization and a person, we registered over 30,000 people in Gwinnett County. It was fundamental in changing this county, in which a lot of people thought was only Republicans living up in here. But I knew the demographic change was changing so rapidly, and that change had come to Gwinnett County. And so I was very focused on making sure that we were acknowledged. This is a county now full of brown and Black people and people of diverse languages. But at the end of the day, we want to live together in this county and live in a way that we can all thrive together. And so in 2016, in 2012, I became a citizen of the United States. So I was not a citizen all of this time. So I became a citizen in 2012. And in 2016, I was asked to run for the state house seat that was in my area. And I initially said no, because I thought just becoming a citizen, right? I didn't think I was ready. And 5 people asked me, and then the last person that asked me was Representative Dewey McLean, who is also a former football player. And because I respected him and I knew that his word was his bond, and he said he would make sure that I got through this. And so I ran my race. This is a seat that they gerrymandered. So they changed the lines in 2015. So when I got into the House, when I started running for the House seat, the lines had changed for political reasons, because the Republicans in the House of Representatives wanted to keep that seat. I lost that race by 222 votes. 2,100 people did not vote in that race. 2,100, and I lost by 222. But you know what? Everything happens for a reason. So that's next year, 2017. I decided that I was going to revisit every person that did not vote in that election. And what I did was create a card that said, thank you for voting. I only lost by 222 votes. And then in 2018, I ran again, and I won that race by over 4,000 votes. And then I was reelected. Oh, by the way, as 2016, President Barack Obama was still 2016, he was still the sitting president, and he endorsed my candidacy. And then in 2018, I ran again, and I won, and he also endorsed my candidacy again. And then I went for re-election in 2020, and I won that race by over 8,000 more votes. And I think one of the most important reasons why this story is important is because I wasn't born in the United States. I didn't come with any political clout. People had to believe in me in order for it to work. And so America gives that opportunity. And because I have an immigrant background, I can understand different things that other people will not understand. One of the things that came up back in, I think it was 2015, was they changed the voter registration form and put a line that had said that you had to put in your green card number. The only thing with that is that when you become a citizen, you're no longer in possession of the green card. So you shouldn't have that number. And I was the only one, because of my immigrant background and because I became a citizen, I was the only one that could push back and say, no, that needs to be removed. You're just putting up an obstacle, so people will think that they have to have their green card number in order to register to vote. But it is important that people do know, if you are becoming a citizen, that once you do get your certification, please go to the Social Security office and tie your citizenship status to your Social Security number to process your voter registration. So that's a little bit about my background. You're on mute.
You're mute.
Honorable Donna McLeod, okay, that she was my representative. We changed the redistricting.
Again, yeah.
So today we will be talking about what's at stake with her. All right. So she has already introduced herself. So we're going to be talking about she chronicled most of what I wanted her to say. So let's talk about this election. Why is it so consequential? Because I hear everybody saying it's consequential because there are a lot of stuff on the ballot. We have a president who, when he was empowered, our little brown and Black boys were afraid to be in the street. or our husband were afraid in the street. This man is looking to come back. Why? I mean, we hear that every time. This election is consequential. What makes this election different, Honorable McLeod?
So I'm going to talk just a little bit about history, and then I'll move forward. So
Okay.
this country, all of us that are sitting in this space know that this country first enslaved Africans. It basically pushed the Native American Indians to the side, enslaved Africans. The Constitution was written on the premise that white males would always be the dominant rulers of this country, or people that would have power. And we need to remember the Constitution when it was written. It was actually written in 1787. And the fact is that in 1787, there were no, well, I would say the vast majority of Black people were still on plantation.
Correct.
So the abolishment of slavery, or the emancipation of slavery, didn't happen until 1863. It took until 1865 before they actually accepted it in Texas. So that's why we celebrate what is called Juneteenth in this country. June 19th, it was the actual official ending of slavery when Texas accepted that they had to free the people they had put in bondage. So that's a basic point of history. The Constitution was written, did not include these human beings that were in bondage. In fact, it didn't include women, and it didn't include poor white men. In fact, the only people in the Constitution at the time that had a right to vote were white men that owned land, right? So keep that in mind, right? So this is a country built on that, almost a patriotic. Now, these are men that did not want to be associated with England anymore, because their original country is England, Great Britain. And they came to this country, a lot of them for religious freedom, a lot of them just seeking to be free from being enslaved, not enslaved, to be imprisoned. So a lot of them were criminals that came here to live. And so in actual fact, this country, the way it was built was almost a hierarchy of wealthy men, and then the rest of the whites, and then the lower area would be now your enslaved Africans. So I'm saying this specifically because I want you to remember the reason why it's so important and why this is going to impact the rest of us. So now we come up to where people started saying, hey, this is not right. So several amendments were made to the Constitution. In fact, 27 of them were made to the Constitution. Number one being the declaration, the right to basically have free speech, the right to assemble. Those are all number one. And then, of course, everybody talks about the Second Amendment right, which is the right to bear arms. And again, most countries don't have that amendment. That really, for me, when I look at the Second Amendment, it really was, it was for a well-oiled militia, so that they would be ready if England ever came back to try to take the country from them, right?
Right.
So they were preparing for that. The Second Amendment also is an incredibly important amendment to, if you're going to take something from someone, right? Because this is where you bear arms and you can use weaponry to basically overpower someone. You're not using fists, so you're going to be using weaponry, and the gun is a weaponry. And I think that it's important for people to understand just why these amendments are important. So the 15th, the 19th, and the 26th Amendment, all three of those amendments has something, it's somebody's background.
Yeah, I think it's Nelson. Nelson, can you put yourself on mute, please? Because we can hear air in your stuff.
We have a heavy damper right here.
Oh, okay. You want to put yourself on mute? You'll still be able to hear us. Then we can hear the mute. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. So so the 15th, the 19th, and the 26th Amendment all got to do with voting. One gave Black men who were just basically freed the ability to vote. The 19th gave women the ability to vote, and the 26th gave young people 18 years of age and older the ability to vote. And I say that abilities because they are amendments, and amendments can actually be can be taken away, right? Because if you have enough people in Congress, 2/3 of Congress can actually revoke any amendment. So that's why it's so important that we understand our capability of voting is not yet a right. It's just an ability to do that. And so now we come to this space and time. There has been several presidents. There's been incidents of whites in general being fearful of what they feel is being replaced, right? They're fearful of being replaced by people of a darker hue. And that is to me, that's their issue. They need to get over it because no one is going backwards with them. And so when we look at today, what's at stake, we look at from 2016, we had a guy in office who mismanaged a pandemic. And I think it's important for us to remember all of this stuff, right? Why we're here, why we're where we are right now. This pandemic could have been managed different with leadership and clear guidelines to a microscopic organism that we cannot see. And so as an engineer, this was incredibly frustrating for me. And as a sitting legislator at the time, I just was so paralyzed because here you have the ability for us to actually give clear direction, but you've got a person who's saying, you know what? Literally, I don't care, or I'm going to be tough guy. Like, you're not tougher than a microscopic organism. If you get a cold, you can't stop a cold from attacking you if you're not washing your hands properly and cleaning things properly. So when this was going on, it was very frustrating. So that's the first thing. It was an enormous amount of lies. I mean, lies out from every single direction. And for me, lies are like on a chalkboard, and if you can lie, you can steal, and like Jamaicans, if you can lie, you steal. If you can steal, you can kill. And that broad spectrum of things, it concerned me a lot. But so we're moving on. So we see the country being mismanaged through a pandemic. We see where this guy basically gives a tax cut to the very rich, putting more pressure on folks that are in the middle and are poor. And I envy no one for their money, but you cannot say you did it by yourself, because the same people you need in order to make your business work, you need to make sure that they are able to continue making your business work. Because if they don't have the capital to buy things, then it's kind of useless, right? Because if you produce a product or service and you want people to pay for it and you want to make a profit from it, you want to make sure that the profit that you're going to make from it is based on having customers. So if you don't have any customers, you're not going to make much profit. No. And so I think one of the things that I always urge people is to be clear about what is politics and what is governance, right? So I just explained to you what a business operation is. Anyone that's in business know that you do a product or a service, you're hoping people will buy it. You're going to charge them an amount so that you can pay for your overhead costs and the material costs, but then you also want to make a profit from it. That's business. That's business. That's capitalism. But then there is government. And government is actually can kind of consist of two parts: the political part and the governance part. So the political part is when I'm running for office and I'm asking all these people to vote for me, and I'm telling them why they should vote for me, maybe over not somebody else who's running with me. We're running the same race. I never say I run against anyone. I can only do as much as I can do. But when I'm in that race, I'm going to try to convince people to vote for me over someone else. That's the political part. That's the persuasion part. When you're elected, that's the governance part. You know what governance is about? Taxation. The money that is collected in taxes, how is that money used on your behalf? Are you getting product and services, or mostly services from your government that makes your life easier? So in the United States or in Georgia road, we ride down the roads pretty much free of charge. There's no charge. And if you're being charged, it's called a toll road. But most of our roads we ride on, we don't pay any additional charge, because we all collectively say the money that they're collecting, we're going to use it to make sure the roads are paved, air is clean. We make sure that we regulate some of the companies that could be putting out pollutants. And then we also make sure food is safe. Those are all things that government provides as a service to the people that they serve. The other part that I think a lot of people tend to miss is the fact that government owes you it. It's not, they're not giving you anything for free. You pay the taxes and you should demand it, but you also have to keep government accountable. The things that are at stake now, and I know we're going to talk about Project 2025, is an actual redoing of this, what we call the republic. And for a lot of people, they don't seem to understand that the United States is not really a democracy. It's a republic. A republic means that the people are the government. But in order to have the participation of the people, what we have is representative democracy, right? So that's where we bring in voting, because in order for the people to speak, they must have a voice. And the voice comes through voting. And that's the difference between business, politics, and governance. And a lot of people kind of conflate the politics and governance. And people that tell me they're not in politics is because they're conflating everything. But also politics is also about the fact that you will get a birth certificate and you will get a death certificate. That's all part of that process. And when you're born into this world, there's an accounting for you. And when you leave this world, there's also an accounting for you.
Oh, wow.
And that all comes through the political process and governance.
So thank you so much for that delivery. I hope my people were listening also in Liberia, where you stated hiring the people to work for you, and they're supposed to deliver on your behalf. Yes. All right. They're not doing you a favor. They're working for you. But let's see what happens. I hear people say, I'm not going to go vote. Okay. I don't want to vote. I don't like both of the people on the ticket. Or I like this other one, but I think that person is not going to win, so I'm not going to go vote. Tell us, what happens if you don't vote in democracy?
Yes, then you don't have a democracy. You will have failed. You will have failed in the democracy. And when people tell me they don't want to go vote, I ask them to look at me, a person who was not born in this country. I didn't come from any political thing, but I did ask people. You can attest to this. I came to your door. I knocked your door. I talked to you. I talked to thousands of people and said, I'm willing. I'm living in your space. We share this space together. Will you allow me to be your voice? And all I am is the voice of the people that voted for me. If they did not come out and vote, I would never have been the first person of Jamaican descent to serve in the Georgia House. Think about this. Georgia is the southern part of the United States, seeped in racism, seeped in segregation, just a basket of nasty. And here I am, this little girl from Kingston, Jamaica, who used to run bare feet, could come to this country and be elected to the Georgia House of Representatives. So don't tell me that your vote doesn't matter, because if that was a tone that the people in District 105 took, I would never have been elected. And even if you don't vote, somebody else is voting. And even if it's one vote, you're still the winner. So even if you don't come out to vote and I voted for myself, my opinion It's almost you just told me I can be the queen and the king because it's only my opinion that will matter because I'm the only one that voted. And I will also tell you that when you don't vote and someone else votes, guess what? A politician is going to listen more to the person who voted than who didn't vote. Because at the end of the day, when you're running for office, your goal is to get as more vote than your opponent. And so you're going to seek out those that will vote. Not that you should care less about the people that don't vote, because there are a lot of people in my district that are green card holder. So I don't know. I don't want it to seem as if we won't care for those people. But our focus when we are running is those who will vote, because that's the only way to actually get elected is anyone that can go to the poll and vote. So I want to repeat, do not tell me that you don't think your vote counts. I know races that only one vote separate a candidate. One vote. And that person is the elected person, even if it's only one vote. So I urge everyone in that's listening to know your own power. The only time you don't have a power is when you give it up to someone else, and you give it up by not participating.
Great. Thank you so much. So we're going to take another 10 minutes. In the last 10 minutes, we're going to take some calls and we're going to close. So I want you, a lot of people we're hearing in this that's on the table, Project 2025.
Oh, yes.
If you would give us an overview, because we have people in our community, Jamaica, all the different islands,
Trinidad, Ghana,
Trinidad, and
Barbados.
Yes, exactly. And they're saying, oh, we don't want this other party because their value does not align with ours. All right. So talk to us, because this I remember almost 4 years ago, and I tell the other guy is not a Republican because he's not. I know George Bush. I knew Reagan. Okay. I've learned about Abraham Lincoln. All right. And I know this guy is not a Republican. He has no Republican values. So tell us about Project 2025 so our people can learn, because they're listening. They're going to listen. This is being aired in counties. Yes.
Okay. I think people get confused about morality and governing again, right? Morality is, I really think that's something that as parents, we should spend the time teaching our children to have self-esteem, self-worth. If you believe in God, that you have a compass that drives you to do good for the purpose of just being a person that want the best for your other fellow man. And I think that's important to, when you want people like that at the elected table, because you want some degree of decision making that's actually decent and aligned with some values. But understand me, that government is not about your religious belief, especially the fact that we collect taxes from everybody. So green dollars does not come with the gender. It doesn't come with the race. It comes as green. And so when we are collecting taxes from everybody, that means that everybody's part of,
and everybody has to be represented.
And everybody has to be represented. Not everybody that I represented as a state representative when I was elected agree with all of the viewpoints of mine. But at the end of the day, I have to respect their viewpoint. They are still taxpayers. If I can help to change something, I will. If I cannot, I will also have a sit down and have a conversation as to what's feasible. Now, again, it's what is feasible. Let me be clear. It is what is feasible. So when we collect the tax dollars, you also have different departments that have to be funded. There are a percentage of the dollars that go to each of those departments. Like in the state of Georgia, the biggest budget item is public schools, right?
Yeah, public school. Our school
Public
is
school.
like number one, literally.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
education.
public schools are number one. I do have some issues with the way we fund it because the last time the formula for funding public school was updated in 1985. Gwinnett County is nothing like 1985, but that is our priority. So in your household, you have a budget in your household. Your budget tells me your priorities. So you're probably going to first pay your mortgage because you want that roof over your head. So you're going to make sure that the mortgage or your rent is paid first. But you're gonna prioritize your priority, and your budget tells you a bit about what that is. So please remember.
Lily, let me come in for a second. I want to drive this home so our people can hear. This is the first Jamaican American lawmaker in Georgia, a 200+ year state, redneck state, okay, deep south, the Sun Belt, the Bible Belt. Speaking to you, your says where your heart is. You know what they say? Put your mouth where your money is. So your budget states is the painting, a picture, or a roadmap to what's important to you. That's what she's talking about. So I want to bring that home so we all can bring that to the table. Okay, Lady D. So when you finish your thought, go on Project 2025 for us, really.
Yes. So again, I just want you to know, as a person who's in elected office, my priority is the people I serve, and that I'm giving them the services they need based on the dollars we're collecting in taxes. It cannot be about the fact that they're Jamaicans or Liberians or black or white or short or tall or gay or straight. It's got to be about the services I provide so that they will have the things that they need. So please remember, it is not a moral issue. Your moral compass should come from your family, and you will take that into the world and treat people in the way that your family has shown you to treat other people. So you can't wait for government to do that. That's too late. You want to do that at your home. And then when you elect somebody, that they will care for everybody in the area, because even if you're not a citizen of this country, you also pay taxes. You pay income tax, you pay sales tax, you pay fees, and all of us pay it, regardless of our status as citizenship or not. So let's go into Project 2025. It's so happy that I actually just spoke to them. So I'm going to try to kind of give you a summary of.
Yeah, just give us a summary. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So this document was actually written by an organization called the Heritage Foundation. And I'm very familiar with the Heritage Foundation because the Republicans in the Georgia House of Representatives, almost all of the legislation that they brought forward was crafted by the Heritage Foundation. And the Heritage Foundation, to be honest, and I'm going to say I've always been clear, they are based on white supremacy, that white people will remain the superior or the race of the race that governs this country, or the
dominance. Yes,
the dominance, right? So it's about supremacy. This particular document is called Project 25, and what it's trying to do is to put a roadmap for the felon Trump when he gets elected, for him to basically execute, to basically become an authoritarian, a fascist, right? So there's going to be a rule based on a single person's opinion. And this is a 900-page document. And what it really tries to do is to say departments like the DOJ, which is like the Department of Justice, the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Federal Communications Commission, and the Federal Trade Commission would all fall underneath the president. If you all know, this country has 3 branches of government, and every single layer of government, right? So even at the city, there's 3 layers. There's the mayor, the city council member. There are actually judges at that step. In the state, you've got the executive, which is the governor. You got the state legislators, where I was in the state legislature, and you also have judges at the state level. Then you also have at the county level, you have a commissioner, you got commissioners, chairperson, you've got a judicial branch as well. So it's important for people to remember that the three branches go in. The executive branch, there are people that work within underneath the president, which becomes his administration. He gets the president or the president, male or female, gets to choose who they have in their cabinet. There's also departments that are funded by the legislative branch. They are almost independent of almost all three branches because their job is to base their decisions on data and facts. And so departments like the DOJ, the FBI, the FCC, being underneath the president of the United States means that president could use the DOJ for his own behalf. The DOJ,
that would be an imperial presidency, and yes, the nation is not going to prosper. It's going to stall.
Oh, yes. They ran away from an imperial presidency, imperialism, from when they left Great Britain. They were running away from being under the monarch. You know, they went to war in 1774. So by 1776, July 4th is when they declared their independence from Great Britain. So let's remember history. History is very important for us to remember when we're talking about this particular time now, because it's not that we haven't seen this before. It's that we've allowed it to come back by people not voting consistently in every election. So that's one. They would advocate for things like unions not to be abolished. Now, unions, I tell you, I come from a family that was union. My father was a unionized member as a pipe fitter and a boilermaker. And unions didn't just affect the union workers. Union actually affect all of us, because the reason why we have 40-hour weeks is because of the union.
Yes.
The reason why we got rid of child labor is because of the union. The reason why we have weekends is because of the union. And so and even in salary, even in salaries, you could not have your employee making more money than the person who's supervising them. So it also pushed non-union workers' salaries higher because of that very reason. So to not have protection as a worker, if you get hurt at work or your employer creates an environment that is unsafe for you to work in. And I've worked in manufacture for over 30 years. And there's a lot of things that can happen in manufacturing because there's a lot of equipment. There's a lot of sharp things. There are hot things. And if your employee is not protecting you, who do you run to? Well, you can't run no more to the DOJ because the guy that's the president says
answerable to the president, whatever the president says.
So, and if he says no, it's a wrap. You might not have a limb, don't care. Also messing with the Affordable Care Act, which is the Affordable Care Act, which is what they often referred to as Obamacare, which now a lot of people are getting their health care from. What country? If you talk about morality, that's a moral issue. That if we do not provide health care for the people that are in this country and care about their welfare, then we're just morally bankrupt, because health is wealth. If you don't have your health, you have nothing. And so, you're talking about wanting to bring back Christianity into the public school system. The reason why it's been removed is not because most of us aren't Christians, but we do have people that practice Islam. We have people that practice Hindu, and we have people that practice no religion at all. But that's what the First Amendment gave us, the right to practice any religion or no religion at all. So, there's also this is how mean this is. Eligibility for free and reduced lunch for kids that are going to school. How morally bankrupt is that if you are going to try to remove that when kids can't learn if they are not eating properly? And so this alone is just incredible. It also wants to prevent women from having control over their own body. You can't say you believe in the freedom for just some people, and then say to half of the population that you shouldn't decide how your bodies operate, right? And I think it's important for us to remember that you, in this country where they have literally built a brand about being free, being a country of self-determination, and then to tell more than half of your population that they can't self-determine, that's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. You don't want to feed children that are going to public school. Oh, and by the way, they would like to get rid of public schools, where a majority of our children are educated. So if your kids are not educated, what are we going to have? We're going to have a group of people that cannot make the country strong, because we know that one of the things that was most valuable to a person who was free from bondage, from slavery, was being educated. When you're trying to ban books, when you're trying to do all these things that actually harm your population, then you're not looking for a republic, and you're not looking for representative democracy. You're looking for supremacy. And that will not work. There's quite a lot in this 900 page, but it does detail, even taking away the FDA, even basically wanting to transfer the power of the FDA, the EPA, into like being under private companies. So I want to tell you a story. When I was a child, back in the late 70s, early 80s, I remember there was a problem with acid rain. Acid rain was created when companies made sulfuric or nitric acid, and would go up into the air, and then would come back, and the rain would be filled with acid. And what would happen? It would destroy the grass. Back in the 70s, cars were made of metal. So guess what? Those cars would then rust. And then this is what we would go back to, where we're not doing environmental controls to protect the people we serve. And once again, I go back to the fact that anyone who's elected, their first and primary job is to keep the people, the constituency safe, and provide services with the money that we collect in taxes. But there's a whole lot more, but that's the gist of it. It's basically saying, I want to literally wipe out the Constitution and create a monarch, an imperialistic society.
So before we go to Kamala at this point, okay, I want to play this short clip.
Yep.
Her accepting a nomination. Books that we do it in the United States. All right. Then let's go. I'm going to play this. In 1 second, I'll pull it up. And then Nelson, we might take one or a few calls. I'm not sure it's me. Lily D, I'm not sure if it's me. Oh my God.
Can I get the video?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's me, but my system keep so let me see. Let this come on, let it set, and I will try to play this. If it's playing, that's fine. So let me see here. I'm gonna do right here really quickly. Hopefully it's gonna hold. Here it is. Folks, I want you all listen to this lady. There she is.
On behalf of every American, regardless of party, race, gender, or the language your grandmother speaks, on behalf of my mother and everyone who has ever set out on their own unlikely journey, on behalf of Americans like the people I grew up with, people who work hard, chase their dreams, and look out for one another, on behalf of everyone whose story could only be written in the greatest nation on earth. I accept your nomination to be president of the United
Lady D, talk to us. Every time I hear that, I may not be president, I may not be millionaire. I know what I became. I know this country made me. The country educated me. This country make me brave to stand up and speak up. I know this country provide unlimited opportunity for my children, especially for my daughters, to be anything they want to be. That is their choice. The opportunities are out and available. They have to earn it. Talk to us. Why Kamala? And that speech, what does that say to you?
So let me start a little bit by just saying, her mom was from India and her dad is from Jamaica. So a personal privilege, I truly have that connection with her. But she has a lot of connection with a whole lot of people because she's lived a full life. And she went to Howard and she's got a sorority. But I think that speech is incredible in the sense of how it all occurred, right? From President Biden basically saying that he's not going to run for re-election, but then within minutes sending out another tweet saying that he is going to stand behind his vice president. Because to be honest, she is the vice president. If anything had happened to him, regardless, she would have become the president of the United States of America. And so those of us, especially Black women, we had already made it clear that if once he stepped down, that there would be no other choice but to make her his successor. And so the day when she walked out on stage in that dark blue suit was incredible because when she walked out on that stage, everybody had, before she came out, had expectation. Would she wear some pink? Would she wear some green, for her sorority? Would she wear colors of the Jamaican flag or the Indian flag or whatever? And she went dark blue to say that she was coming out to represent every single person. And when her speech on behalf of anyone who's ever set foot in this country and had a dream, or didn't even have a dream, or didn't even think that they had a dream, but could make anything possible, I think it really resonates with so many people because so many of us understand that very thing, that we come from parents that might not have been born here. We also bring our children into this world, and the expectation is that they can flourish. And I think that speech kind of captured the essence of what America is for those who are native to this country, who were born in this country, and the fact that this country had opened its door to many other people in order to make this a more perfect union. Is this country perfect? No. But can we work on making it better? Absolutely. And is it working for? Yes, because there is no other country like it. There is no other country with what we call representative democracy. I was born in Jamaica, grew up in Ontario, Canada. Both of those countries are parliamentary style government in which the prime minister actually feeds into the legislative branch. So the prime minister doesn't have, separate power. But this country allows each of those branches to be separate and also equal so that they can have the ability to make changes based on what is being seen on the ground. And I think the essence of her speech is to say to people, this can be all our country, especially what we're fighting against right now is a guy that wants this country to be back in a place where people weren't welcome, and there were people that were second class, and there were people that were fighting just to walk on the same side or drink from the same water fountain. And so let's remember that this country affords so many of us so many things, and it can be so many things to so many of us. And so I think her speech really captured it, and just her lead into it. She didn't say accept the nomination. She led into why she's accepting it, and she's accepting it on behalf of all of us. You're still muted.
Announce, and people want to call, they have questions. You can live in Liberia and learn as to how to run an organization in America. This is the closest that we can get. So let me know if people want to call you. You can announce the number. But tonight okay. So go ahead.
All right, so folks, we have roughly 4 minutes. I'm sorry, have a 12 midnight here in Liberia, and it was so great, wonderful. One thing I admire is the speech of the vice president, of the U.S. She's talked about bringing people together, no discrimination, oneness, togetherness is all that she said. And I also look at what Honorable Dana said regarding, when you lost election, it's not matter. You need to go back to the people and then, talk with them, tell them thank you. It's also help. And she also talks about being formed part of the voting process. After the various candidate will come to you, and then you will have their own say. They will persuade you, talk to you. The election day is the day that you finalize your decision. You need to form part of the decision making, because mind you, when you set aside, then few handful of people go make decision. If it is positive, you benefit, and when it is negative, also you also feel the weight. So it was great, wonderful, and I know our people from Liberia also want to form part of today's edition of the program, Second Thought. So you can also do that on 0881 26 0004, 0881 26 0004, 0881 26 0004. You listen. If you want to form part, you have any other thing regarding the discussion tonight, you can do that on 0881 26 0004, 0881 26 0004, 0881 26 0004, 0881 26 0004 is our number to put you through tonight, this morning here on Truth FM. All right.
We're gonna use just about 5 more minutes so all of us can go tomorrow's work. So
Okay.
if people call, I will stop. But I wanted to play this video. Hopefully Donna can come back. Okay. I have one more video that I want to play. This is fighting for the things that you believe in. Okay. If you really want something, there she is fighting that nothing. And it reminds me, later Donna, we're going to take another 5 minutes. So I know both of us have to go work tomorrow. This is before you or myself were born. Okay. John F. Kennedy said we went to the moon because it was hard.
Yeah.
Not because it was easy. People think people they will move over for them to sit there to change their life. You have to earn it. You have to fight for it. All right. So I want us to listen to while we wait for calls or people to call in, to listen to President Obama. That's one part also that I took away when I listened to him. All right. Here we go.
All the incredible energy we've been able to generate over the last few weeks for all the rallies and the memes. This will still be a tight race in a closely divided country. A country where too many Americans are still struggling.
I want to go back a little bit.
Where
right here.
The torch has been passed.
Yeah.
Now it is up to all of us to fight for the America we believe in. And make no mistake, it will be a fight.
That's my point. It is up to us to fight for the America we believe in. Anything that you believe in, Okay, it's not those who are successful, the billionaires, the millionaires. I like to say the thousandaires, if at all. Okay, they have to roll up their sleeves. They have to stay up late. They have to work harder than most, and in the end, they will live better than most. That's something can only dream of. So he's telling you it's going to be a fight. All right. We didn't get in a call. Lady D,
Yeah.
take us home. Why Kamala? So I know you talk about it and then close us and then last video and then we'll call you at night. But before we go, please invite the people, other people all in Georgia will be watching. Even if they're not coming to the program on Saturday, they can't contribute because we need to sell this campaign. It takes money to because Kamala cannot go everywhere. Honorable Donna McLeod cannot reach at every door. She will be in Gwinnett County knocking on doors. That's what we do. Okay. But there are villages in Georgia. You got to know that. There's still our houses in Georgia. So, but they have TV in their rooms. They have internet. They're able to listen to the news. Okay. For them to make decisions. Other people are reaching them, and she will need money to move around to reach the people, to get on the plane, to get on the bus, to go talk to people for this decision to be made. Lady D?
So let me first by telling people, please, if you're in Georgia or in the anywhere in the 50 states and territories, please, please, please check your voter status, and you can go to iwillvote.com. That's iwillvote.com. It's very important that people check to make sure that they're still registered to vote if you're registered. If you're not registered, iwillvote.com. You can also register on that site. It will take you to your state's Secretary of State website. It's important to know that especially in the state of Georgia, you can already start requesting your absentee ballot. And you can get that at your iwillvote.com, iwillvote.com. There is a lot at stake. So I'm really urging everyone to really understand that you have the power. I wouldn't be sitting here as the first Jamaican born to serve in the Georgia House if you didn't give me that power to sit in that seat. If you're not at this table, you are definitely going to be on the menu. And I know that nobody wants to be on the menu. And so I definitely want to make sure that people understand early voting is going to start very shortly. I think it's like October 14th and election day is November 5th. So the minute you start sending out ballots, the voting process is already started. So it's not just one day. We are having a fundraiser for the Vice President Kamala Harris this Sunday at from 4 p.m. It starts at 4 p.m. And you can go to RSVP at Vivo360inc.com. That's RSVP at Vivo360inc.com. And you can register yourself to come to this event. And we look forward to it. If you're coming, please bring the flag of your country with you as well. This is, of course, in the state of Georgia. It's going to be Norcross, Georgia, but it is in the state of Georgia. But you will have to RSVP at RSVP at Vivo, VIVO 360 INC Inc. 360 Inc.com. So I hope that I provided some information that was worth it to everyone, and I do hope that everyone that's listening to my voice will be able to make it. I would love to give it a link, but it's a little bit long because it's specific to the Caribbean diaspora and friends link. But if you can't make it, you can always go to I think it's harris.com. Let me just double check that to make sure. But I would love to have you there so the money can come from our community, the diaspora, So I'd love to have people from the diaspora come on Sunday at 4 o'clock. Again, just RSVP, and we will send you the location address as soon as you RSVP. If you are going to donate and you can't make it, definitely make a donation nonetheless. And the website for it is going to be KamalaHarris.com. But again, we'd love to have you on Sunday at 4 o'clock. And all you have to do is RSVP at RSVP at Vivo, VIVO 360inc.com. I think we lost. Did we lose her?
Okay. So das ist voiceover you're joining us, and this is second to we have roughly 30 minutes. I'm sorry, have a 12 midnight here Liberia time. So at about this time, I think we are done with today's edition of the program. Second to Africa. It was all centered around the United States of America, wherein we have the planning, general election in the U.S. As you may be aware, United States is one of the strong backbone of our country. Liberia. Whatsoever we do, we run to United States. We want help United States. This one United States. So the election is something that we should also put ourselves into it. Pray for them that it ends successfully, and then
The internet is acting up, but we that Lady D, great show. Thank you for your voice. Thank you for your visibility. Thank you for continuing to educate us. Thank you. I remember I went to my mother's house and I said, there is a lady in the is running. And my mom said she already be here. We now have jollof rice. And I said, what? She said she already been here. So you literally, I tell people, when you have love and you have the drive, it will take you anywhere and it makes anything possible. So Liberians, this is our opportunity. Islanders, this is our seeing people, African Islander seeing people, seeing heritage, with seeing Jane. We are brown and black people. We got to get out there. Somebody would say she's a woman. I'm raising my daughters to be lawyers, to be doctors, to be anything they want to be. In the future, and they want to be president of the United States, they should be respected.
Absolutely.
And this lady comes with intelligence. She comes with hard work. She has a record. And I tell people, everyone who took the stage that day, okay, they were character witnesses. All right. And they were not talking in code. They were pinpointing. Whereas the other people will come and say the things that we believe in, not the things that what things do we believe in? Why don't you pinpoint that? All right. And I tell people, and you said it so well, you chronicled it so well when you said, when you go to represent, you're going to represent all the taxpayers. It does not matter if they're Muslim or they're Christian or they're Jew or they're from Pakistan. It does not matter. You represent them all.
Oh.
You become the twin mother. But we want the America that welcomed us, that our children are able to live free. I want a Gwinnett County where the education system, the kids can come from there, go to Yale, go to Harvard, go to MIT, go to Georgia Tech, okay, go to Shorter, go to Mercer, go to Emory, and it can come back and be the best that it can be. That's the America I'm looking forward to. So, anybody who wants to, Lady D, again, when you send me the link, I will put it in the body, and I would what do you call it? Put it, pin it down so people can see it. Guys, contribute. You're contributing directly to.
Do you want me to send the link? Do you want me to send the link?
You can just put it right here, and I will pin it. You can put it where you just type, and I will pin it.
Okay.
If you put a link there while we stay live, I will pin it, and then we're gonna close.
Okay, I'm gonna.
So in closing, yeah, Liberia, the connection in Liberia was very bad. I'm gonna play this last video of this of Kamala in closing, and that was my best part of everything else. The greatest nation on earth. I always told people that America is, because I can speak to that. I'm a testament of that. So I'm gonna go ahead and play this, and then the moment you put a link, I will pin it. All right, guys. Anybody who has questions, if you're in the Georgia area, you want to come, you can also call me. If you're in the Liberian community, if you're in the Island community, you can reach out to Donna McLeod. Okay, she's on Facebook. She's really good at
denigrating America, talking about how terrible everything is. Well, my mother had another lesson she used to teach. Never let anyone tell you who you are. You show them who you are. America, let us show each other and the world who we are and what we stand for. Freedom, opportunity, compassion, dignity, fairness, and endless possibilities.
Oh my God. That was powerful.
We are the heirs to the greatest democracy in the history of the world. And on behalf of our children and our grandchildren and all those who sacrificed so dearly for our freedom and liberty, we must be worthy of this moment. It is now our turn to do what generations before us have done. Faith, for the idea we cherish, and to uphold the awesome responsibility that comes with the greatest.
Yes, yes, yes. And let somebody tell me any differently. That said, Lady D, that's that. Close up, and we're gonna go home. Thank you. Thank you for viewing.
Thank you, and thank you to everyone that is listening. I appreciate you. And once again, let's get this done because we can do this together. Like you said, there's no place like it. And this is the United States where everything is possible. Knowledge is the most powerful thing you give to yourself, but that the vote is the most powerful thing we give to each other. Let's not forget that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And good night.
Good night.
Let me go up here.
I just put the link. I just put it on the face on the page.
Okay. So
I put it in the not in
the chat.
No, it's on the if you go on your page that we're going live, it's on the page. I put it in the say something, write something.
Picture of you and Kamala here, and I'm gonna pull it. Just give me 1 second. I'm gonna close with that. So
Okay.
1 second, let me pull that. That would be my closing right here. Yes. Let me pull this. I pulled all of that last night after Labor Day. All right, here it is. The both of you are hugging. I think it's before she there she go. That lady D. Here you go. Here's the girl. Here you are. Who did I find? So, guys, here they are. We're gonna close on this picture. Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank
Good
you
night.
so much for tuning in. That's Lady D. And again, all of the video play, we have no copyright to it. Let's go out. Let's knock a door. Let's hold up to this country that has given us so much. And the right that we have, let's continue to preserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Wow.